Hello, and welcome back to our channel, Coral Jacks. This week we visit 3 sites on a short walk near Wolf's Castle. We'll start off vlogging the walk and the 2 smaller sites, but stick around to the end as we've saved the most impressive and well documented till last.
It's going to be very windy. Hi. You right, Sam? We ready?
It wasn't looking like we'd get much sun this week, so we thought we'd show you some typical Welsh weather and take a wet walk through the fields and lanes. We began our walk at the car park next to St Dogwell's Church.
Can you get in? No. Oh, of course. Where's this stone?
Just 2 miles from Wolf Castle, Cas Blythe, where folklore tells of the last wolf in Wales having been killed here. Local law also states that St Dogwell's is the birth and resting place of Owen ap Gruffydd, known as Owen Glyndŵr, the last native Welshman to hold the title Prince of Wales.
Oh, there it is.
The Hogtivis Stone, an ogham and Roman inscribed stone. According to Coflein, the stone was discovered in 1875 on the east side of Trefgarn Gorge, around 3 kilometres south of the church, where it was being used as a gatepost beside the road. This happens a lot around here, and we've been gathering examples for a future segment. You can still see the Latin inscription on the pillar, reading vertically downwards, and Coflein states that it has been translated as "of Hogtivis, son of Demetus." Next to this, ogham markings are positioned along the ridge of the face, rather than on the edge of the stone, and it's thought that these date to the end of the 5th century.
Where's Trev standing?
What, Kev? So we've just been to see the stone at St Dogwell's Church. And so if we go through the vicarage, we should head up and meet up with another path that will take us to the first set of burial chambers. Then we can get on another footpath and go down to the Garn Turne burial chamber.
I think I'll go around this way. See, we've been filming a lot in the sun, giving the deception that Wales is nice and sunny and dry. This is the reality. There is a stone of sorts up there. So we jumped at the chance of some sunny weather.
There were no sunny days this week.
No.
And it didn't look like we were going to be lucky enough to have any snow either. There's a stone.
There's a stone. Is that a stone or is it just a stone?
Just a stone. No, not on the map.
Ah, it's just the stone.
And then we come to the altar. We've seen reference to this site a few times, and we're aware that it's often encumbered by cows. But as we were passing, the field was empty, and Coral took the earliest opportunity to get in and have a look. I walked Zeb further up the road to see if they had provided any direct access. So, we're at the location of the first cromlech of the day, near one of the farms, Colston farm. Come on, Zeb. Come on. This one appears to be just on the boundary of this hedge, in a farmer's field that doesn't have a footpath. So we're just going to see if there is any way of seeing it from the outside.
I'm on it.
But after finding only a rough gap through, we doubled back and went to the gate. Because essentially it's just through here. Just through here. 1.5 kilometres into our walk today. We've just got to the first cromlech.
So we don't usually go in fields we're not supposed to go in, but kind of had to be done. What do you think, babe?
Get off my land!
Nah, shit.
So we've got another 1.5 kilometres until the next Cromlech. Another 1.5 kilometres until Garn Turne.
Garn Turne.
Garn Turne.
Garn Turne.
I'm not sure how you say turn with an E on the end. Turney. Could be a rocky outcrop that they went through. But right next to the remains of the Altar Cromlech that we just visited there is a wall made up of huge megaliths. Could be complete coincidence, but that one up there kind of looks like a potential capstone, doesn't it? Coming up from the altar, we've got this turning now. This should take us straight down into the fields that go past Garn Turne. I'm styling my hat made by my mum for Christmas.
What's this stone here? Oh my god. I'm one with the brambles. Head for the red mushrooms. Ow.
It's just a little bit wet.
Yeah, not coming back this way. No. Oh my god, how are we supposed to get down that path?
What do you mean, that path?
And if cows appear, I'll have a heart attack.
But yeah, as long as cows don't come, we should be fine.
I don't want to be a dead cow statistic. Oh, that's definitely cowy. No, you having a laugh? Jack.
Yeah, so we're going to backtrack and take the roadway round because Coral's not a huge fan of cows, and
Not just me.
and even me being a bit more comfortable, it was a bit intimate of a pathway, bit of an intimate pathway, and very muddy and slippy. We would have been having to sort of
I wonder if you caught me in the background.
side check the cows. The Garn Turne monument, also known as Garn Turne, Garn Turne and Old Coldstone, is one of 3 megalith clusters around the hamlet of Colston, the others being the Altar and Coflein. This site has been on our radar for a while now, but we kept putting it off as we'd been massively underestimating the size of the stones. Right up until we stepped into the field, we had no idea it was going to be so big and impressive. I don't know if you'll be able to hear us over the wind. What an amazing sight already. Really unique rocky outcrops. It already feels like a settlement of sorts. The photos we saw online didn't do it any justice, and to be fair, the photos we took are no better. This place is huge. The whole field feels special. With its rocky outcrops, old wall structures and megaliths strewn about, it feels like a recently abandoned settlement. The fallen capstone of the Cromlech itself is 5 metres by 4 and thought to weigh over 60 tonnes. It would have been supported by a series of now partially collapsed and damaged uprights. To put this in perspective, the great sarsen stones at Stonehenge weigh on average only 25 tonnes. But almost more impressive than the huge capstone are the massive uprights in the forecourt. The capstone opens out to what appears to be a V-shaped forecourt. This is fairly uncommon and has led to the site being compared to Pentre Ifan and the Irish court tombs of Southern Ireland. This architectural trait, endorsed by Grimes as the Pentre Ifan type, describes the forecourt area as an asymmetric funnel-shaped upright forecourt. Garn Turne was excavated in 2011, directed by Vicki Cummings and Colin Richards as part of the Great Dolmens project, chosen as their first site for investigation. A key reason stated being that Garn Turne is a monument which appears to have collapsed during construction and would offer excellent potential for identifying construction processes. The following is a quote from an article on past.com, link in the description. In the summers of 2011 and 12, we opened a large trench at Garn Turne, which revealed multiple phases of activity, including the remains of at least 2 dolmens. When we first arrived on site, the monument's forecourt, an open area perhaps for assembly, appeared to have a natural outcrop in the middle, an arrangement unparalleled at other dolmen sites in Britain or Ireland. Our investigation revealed that this outcrop was in fact a quarried stone, sitting on the edge of a pit, probably its source, that contained traces of intense burning. Stratigraphically, there is evidence that the floss stone was quarried and moved before Garn Turne Major's construction. Perhaps it was initially intended to be part of the monument, or played a role in the building process, but it could have been a special sacred stone in its own right. This was not the only activity predating Garn Turne Major. However, we also found evidence of a smaller dolmen, dubbed Garn Turne Minor, directly to the northwest. Prior to excavation, only its capstone was visible, but our trenches revealed a number of collapsed orthostats alongside this. It seems that the monument had once stood in a large pit, much like Arthur's stone on the Gower, but at a later date, after it had collapsed, the dolmen was surrounded with a platform of stones and soil, hiding the pit and toppled uprights. Garn Turne Major's forecourt, constructed partly on the remains of a massive quarry pit in front of the monument, was apparently added at a later date. Analysis of this layer of the pit yields dates in the late Neolithic or early Bronze Age. Another radiocarbon date from higher up in the pit is from the Iron Age, which together with the discovery of iron slag, suggests that the dolmen had a long and eventful use in prehistory. A further excerpt directly from Vicki Cummings' report says, "The main trench at Garn Turne seems to be placed over an enormous pit. We suggest that this pit was the result of people digging up an enormous stone, presumably the 80-ton rhyolite capstone. Once the stone had been extracted from the ground, it was shaped and then raised up. Uprights were placed underneath it in order to create a dolmen monument. These stones and the stones of the facade were simply dropped into place within the pit, and then the entire pit was backfilled to stabilise the stones. The backfill contained large numbers of flaked rhyolite and hammerstones as well as charcoal deposits which can be radiocarbon dated. However, at some point during construction, something went wrong. The result of this is that the large capstone and its supporters at the front of the monument toppled backwards. It appears that the monument was subsequently abandoned. Rees, on an inspection of the site in 1981 for Cadw, noted a possible long cairn amongst the natural rock outcroppings. Also, in the neighbouring field, a cairn has been cleared and used to reinforce turf boundaries. In 2005, cup and ring marks were discovered on the capstone, as well as cupules of varying size on the rocky outcrop. The presence of rock art on top of the capstone suggests that at least the upper section of the capstone was exposed. A similar hypothesis has been promoted for nearby Pentrefan. A quote from George Nash says that cup and rings are found in abundance across the Neolithic and Bronze Age Atlantic zone of Western Europe, usually carved on rock outcroppings. In Wales, there is increasing evidence that these images, along with single and multiple cupules, are being used to statement megalithic monuments. The cup and ring, located on an enormous capstone of Garn Turne, is the first to be found on a Neolithic chambered monument in Wales. It provides possible evidence for stratigraphic use of the monument, and is one of an increasing number of monuments that hitherto were considered to be absent of art. The presence of cupules, and now the first cup and rings on a megalith in Wales, suggests that the capstones on many monuments were exposed rather than covered by earth or cairn. The exposure or part exposure of the capstone may have been a deliberate architectural trait, designed along with the careful selection of stone, based on geology, shape and size. Barker, 1992, does not entirely agree that this monument is a portal tomb, rather that it may be an earth-fast type. However, many of the earth-fast monuments within this region are located and constructed very differently. Furthermore, these monuments are small and unimposing. Others have suggested that the southern part of the monument, which incorporates the chamber and the capstone, may have been part of a long cairn. There is certainly evidence for this at the western end of the monument, to the rear of the capstone. Recent, unpublished research by Kate Sharp has questioned the authenticity of some of the cupules, suggesting that many may be simply natural depressions. I'm therefore mindful of the geology of the immediate area, but I will argue that enhanced natural cupules, including the Garn Turne cup and ring, are as important as those fully gouged by human agencies. Natural or otherwise, these visual symbols are within context. On an entrance upright at the Cotswold 7 burial monument of Stony Littleton, southwest England, for example, the builders have carefully chosen a limestone block that has a large fossil ammonite embedded into the outer face. This naturally created design clearly forms an archaeological context with the burial monument. Likewise, part of the Garn Turne cup and ring may be natural, and the stone may have been selected for this reason. There are other monuments in southwest Wales known to have rock art, and we have a video covering one at Trellefind. There is also one on the capstone of Trefail, which we will be covering in a video soon. So, we've just sent the drone up, hopefully got some good shots. I'm slightly shaking with the nerves because it's windy. So, what do you think of our new favourite cromlech?
It's nice to get it.
Every cromlech's our new favourite cromlech.
That was beautiful though.
Yeah, beast.
We know where we're going.
Well, we were going to see if we can get onto the road over here, wasn't it? Rather than going back that same way. But we might not be able to get onto the road over here. We might be coming back over there. Well, we feel silly. We just did a massive lap around the outside of this onto a public footpath that goes up towards the farm, and then cut through a gate and came round the back of the stones. Came through what felt like quite a nice entranceway with those standing stones around the outcrop. Then we went back that way, all the way down, all the way around, and then just heading back here we went, oh, there's a little cutway through.
Let's go back in.
So seeing as we don't have so far to walk back to the car, we might just go and spend a bit more time with the stone, eh? As always, links to articles, websites and books we've quoted or used for this research will be in the description.